Hello everyone, welcome to the Outdoor Engineers YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing off a 3D print I designed and printed for this Garmin Montana GPS. More specifically for the handlebar kit or handlebar kind of attachment that we purchased with it. And so this is the print here. It's pretty simple. All it is just a cup holder adapter so my dad can have the GPS in the truck with him. So in this video, I'll kind of go over a quick breakdown of how I designed this part, as well as if you want to print it, maybe some tips I have for you. And then I'll talk about assembling it, and then finally we'll show it to you in the truck. So let's get into the video. So here's just kind of a brief overview of my design. I'm not an expert designer by any means, but I kind of just started with a rough outline of something I knew would fit in the cup holder. Then I made some grooves for the bolts, as well as adding some fillets to make everything look nice. Then I added a slot for the ATV mount to go into. It took a few iterations to get the holes to work well with the bolts, as well as to have it something that looks nice, but I think the final part looks pretty nice. And then in Bamboo Studio here, the print time is about 1 hour and 41 minutes, and the part is oriented with the kind of top face down. And also one change I've made was to have the infill only at about 7.5%, just to reduce kind of the material usage, as well as using regular normal supports, just because I found that to be the best to give a good surface finish inside the part. So everything you see in front of you here is needed to set up the kit. Obviously you have the adapter, as well as the handlebar holder, and then you have some bolts as well as nuts and some caps or covers. I'm not too sure what they're called. Those all came with the Montana handlebar holder, and then as well we have 4 washers for each bolt. I'll kind of explain why we use that in a minute. We also have a 7/16 inch wrench and a 5/32 Allen key. So now I'll go through the process of installing it and kind of giving some tips on how I found easiest to put the handlebar holder into the adapter here. So to get the handlebar holder installed in the adapter, the first thing I would do is loosen it up and try and take this bottom portion out, just because it's going to make it a little bit easier when we try and install it afterwards. There you go. I'll tighten it back up so the top doesn't come out. I'll just set that aside. And then the other thing I would do first is put the top screw in, just because if you're using a wrench like I am, it's going to be a little bit easier to put the top screw in than the bottom screw, because you're going to run out of room with the wrench on the top screw. And then the other thing I just want to mention is that we want to have 2 washers on the front. So on the front side and the back side, just to help reduce the pressure that's on the part. All right, so now that we've got the washers in place, we're gonna put the nut on. And the easiest way I found to do this is once you get it in, so it's a lock nut, so obviously you have to use the wrench to get it all the way in. The easiest way I found was to have it so the nut is flush with the washers here. Just hold it in place with the wrench, and then use the Allen key to get it all tight. All right, so now we got it all nice and tight. So now we'll do, well, I guess we can put the cap on. Fits in pretty nicely. Now we'll do the bottom one, again, making sure we put the 2 washers on the front, as well as 2 washers on the back. And then just gotta screw this on, and then we should be pretty well done. Now we'll get the top, or the electronics back installed. There you go. So now the mount's been installed. It's in there pretty good. And of course it is still adjustable, so you can move it around however you want. If you want it in whatever portrait, or if you want the GPS in portrait or landscape, you can do that. And now we'll go head to the truck to see how it looks in there. All right, so now we're in my dad's truck, and he'll go over how to install the cup holder now. It's pretty easy.
Okay, so we have the Garmin mount here in the 3D printed cup holders. So you see we've kind of fastened it in there, and it fits quite nicely into the cup holder. I'll take it in and out, or take it out and in again. So each of the cup holders, at least the ones we have a bit of a spring-loaded series of, a little bit hard to see there, but spring-loaded. Each of them is spring-loaded, so they can kind of come in and out. So we just kind of put her down, and if you want to kind of reposition it, you're welcome to, but we just kind of leave it like that. Got a little bit extra wire here. We kind of fused that. We had some pigtail connections, and we went out and bought just a standard cigarette lighter connector there. So that goes just kind of in the 12 volt. So we make our connection there. I don't have power to the vehicle, so there's a little LED there that kind of goes on. Just with the extra light, we kind of leave it there. And then there's just a little release. So we've got kind of our connections, and we just kind of fit her in there. I just grab that, put it in, and you're all set. And then the nice thing about this is you can either run it in kind of landscape or the portrait mode. So all we have to do is kind of do a little of the fastener there, and then we can kind of adjust it, and it's quite sturdy. We've never really had it vibrate loose or cause any vibrations at all.
All right, so just to show that the Montana there is actually working, you can see now we turn on the truck, and now it's turning on. So still in the adapter, there's no issues with power or anything like that. So the one thing is, the F-150 nowadays, they have a map that shows up on the screen there. So you may be asking, why do we need the Montana if we have the screen? The reason is the Montana kind of gives us better maps when we're up north, kind of in the back roads, not on the main roads.
We opted out to purchase for the topo maps, the topographic maps, for kind of, well, Northern Ontario's in there, but for I think quite a bit of Canada. So it's quite nice because it'll provide you, again, those topographic maps, kind of northern country, which is helpful certainly as you're up there.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.